I'm David Anderson, and on behalf of the System Dynamics Society, I'd like to thank Ken Cooper for sharing some of his 40 years of wisdom with us. You're about to hear Ken Cooper tell in his own words the story of the Hughes Aircraft case. More complete documentation for that is on the Society's website, as well as you can find a little bit of the backstory of the Hughes case. This is the case where the Rework Cycle first got published. So, Ken, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure, David. Thank you. And to be very clear, the case that we'll talk about today is one of but many cases that pieces of work that we performed at Hughes Aircraft. Hughes was the first of dozens of aerospace industry applications of project or program models. And to get this started, I would like to just take a minute to read from the Rework Cycle paper, the introduction, because if you don't end up reading the paper, I just feel like this is too good a story to miss. The project was slated to design and build an exciting first-of-a-kind product, but during the development effort, unexpected problems emerged. Changes in the design specifications, shortages of qualified people, material supply delays, costs escalated and work fell far behind schedule. The project's future was threatened and the work was interrupted. Eventually, project objectives were scaled back and the work was completed, but years late and at more than double the original budget. If this tale of development project woes sounds all too familiar, perhaps it is from your personal experience or because others like it are being lamented so frequently in company boardrooms and reported in business publications with disturbing regularity. It might be a construction firm's experience in building a power plant, or a software company's troubles in bringing new systems to market, or the most recently reported defense program problems, or the automobile industry's struggle to cut product development time. But it isn't. The product sponsor in this tale was George Washington. Paul Revere supplied the required copper and brass fittings. The special timber that delayed the work's progress eventually provided the project's product with its nickname, Old Ironsides. The USS Constitution inaugurated the U.S. Navy and was, in 1794, a new nation's introduction to the challenge of large development project management. Today, the challenge remains largely unanswered. Now, somehow I'm going to tie, well, I know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to tie this 18th century shipbuilding program to a 21st century missile development. And it all took place, and the latter example took place at Hughes Aircraft. Now, taking note of the fact that Hughes Aircraft did not and does not design or build aircraft, that name is a holdover from the days of the founder, Howard Hughes, who was himself a renowned aviator and did design and fly aircraft. But when the Department of Defense, in its heyday for Hughes, and when the Department of Defense needed a complex system, be it radar systems or air defense systems or command and control systems, Hughes Aircraft, at least by their own assessment, was the gold standard for the Department of Defense. My first project at Hughes went extremely well. And we got a chance immediately thereafter to work on the biggest program going on in the company at the time, and that is the AMRAAM development program, the Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile. When we arrived on the scene, the program already had controversy all over it. And I'll take one more moment to read from a conversation that I had almost the first day with the program manager for the AMRAAM program. This is what he said, and I'm going to ask you to think about why it might have happened this way. He said, "I'm running a 1,000-person design development effort. A year ago, we figured we were about 70% complete with the missile's design. Today, still with about 1,000 staff, 1 year later, 1,000 person years later, my people tell me we are about 70% complete. What is happening?" He said, "What happened to my lost year?" That's what he called it, his lost year. So he says, how do I explain where we stand, why there's been so little progress, and what costs and schedules are ahead? I have my company's board of directors asking me, along with Department of Defense auditors, even congressional committees demanding to know what's going on. I see the hard work being done and all the good feedback we're getting from our early flight tests, so I can't figure out how or why we lost that year and when or if we can get back on track. And that was the big issue. The program was literally on the verge of being canceled because the cost estimates were escalating so rapidly as it seemed as though there was no progress being made. So we built a model of the design development effort, including their very aggressive flight testing program using early missile prototypes. And I'll pause here and just ask you to think about that for a moment. Can you imagine why the program manager, this extraordinarily experienced and talented program manager, believed his program had stalled and that he had lost a year? Remember the rework cycle when you think about this. Well, the year was not lost. The lost year was not lost. Much actual progress had indeed been made. But what was stalled was the perceived progress. The unusually early flight testing and very aggressive flight testing program of those prototypes were feeding back needed design improvements that they learned from the tests. But it was such an accelerated program that it enabled the much faster discovery of rework that had been previously undiscovered. And so we were able to assess this and figure out when, which was very soon, that visible progress would resume and resume to a much faster pace. Assured them, conducted a number of proactive analyses to help further that, and today, AMRAAM ranks as one of the most successful programs ever. It's been in production for 25 years, and after that shaky start, the AMRAAM missile now flies at Mach 4 from virtually all of the advanced fighter jets, the F-15, the F-16, the F-18, the F-22, and more. What the world does not know is how close to cancellation this very successful program came because of undiscovered rework.
Ken, I am very much looking forward to hearing that backstory about undiscovered rework in the Hughes Aircraft program.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.